Chris, great of you to make time for us this afternoon in the days after securing Premier League football for next season for Brighton. You had a game, of course, last night. Have you had much time to reflect on the achievement, enjoy it even?
Probably not, because we were one of the teams that had a game in hand. So, of course, the fact that we played last night, it was very quickly on to sort of the preparations for last night. But I think it did sink in. I think we were, probably in a better position than some of the others around us, because we had the points, and of course what we've now learnt is at 37 points, that would have been enough anyway. So I think our situation was perhaps a little bit different, and I can understand certainly the joy that some teams have found and experienced in sort of recent days. But wonderful achievement from everybody at the club, and yes, it has sunk in, and but we are very much looking forward to the season finishing.
In some of the comments from yourself, from the players, one of the themes is realising how hard it would be and how hard it was to actually stay in the division. Can you maybe put into or describe those challenges? What was so difficult, and what hit you last August, September when you got into the Premier League and took on what was in store for you?
Well, I think it's I think if you start and you win your first couple of games, or get a result in your first couple of games, then I think that gives you that lift from the start. But that wasn't the case with us. We had to wait a few games to get our points. I think what helped was that our level of performance in the first few games wasn't bad. So it wasn't as if we went into the division and found that we couldn't step up to the level. So I think we was confident that way. But until you get them first points and that first win on the board, then there's a little bit of apprehension that can set in. So fortunately for us, it was early enough, and what we have been able to do is we've been able to have reasonably sort of consistent periods in the season. And, apart from two games at home, Liverpool at home and Chelsea at home, where we lost 4-0 and 5-1, the score lines have been reasonably close in most of our games. So I think it was that first win that I think gave us the encouragement that we can get results.
Yeah, Chris, you came onto the show last year about this time, just after you secured promotion, and you'd spoke about the fact is you want to stick to the principles. Obviously, you want to try and add a bit of quality to the squad going forward. Was that always the mindset of you? Stick to what's got you to the position that you were in at this stage last season, and then try to kick on taking the team forward. Was that always in your mindset?
Yeah, it was always the mindset, but we know how that can change. And if you go into the season and you're going 5, 6, 7 games, as some teams have done, without getting results, you're very conscious that you might have to change things, change your formation or so. But I wanted to play the same. I mean, in the Championship, we played sort of predominantly 4-4-2, 4-4-1-1-ish. I knew it's very difficult to play 4-4-2 in the Premier League, so I wanted to go into the season very much 4-4-1-1, which would give us still, an attacking threat. Wide players, being, winger-type players that can work both ways, and see, how far that could take us. And as I say, probably, it took to our first win and then, a series of decent results to enable me to really to stick with that. But what we did do, I think, amongst the formation we wanted to play, I think we added some quality to that, predominantly sort of through the middle in David Propper and probably Pascal Gross, right through the middle. And, of course, the goalkeeper, Matty Ryan.
Yeah, no, I mean, I was going to ask you about Pascal Gross as well. And, of course, with Shane Duffy, the way that he's developed. But one player that I saw recently, or I heard recently, was Lewis Dunk. He was talking on, it was actually on 5 Live, I think I heard him talking. He was talking about the challenges that he met coming into the Premier League, talking about the fact is that, yes, you're going to be coming up against some world-class strikers, but outside the top 6, he felt as though watching Premier League football, and even when the reality hit him, he was playing Premier League football, that he feels as though, yeah, we can actually get results against these sides. If we stick to what we've done, get promoted, pretty much what I said before, we can actually beat some of the sides around us. So it was actually quite fascinating hearing the players talking about that. So was that the message that you were trying to give off to the players, that it isn't as daunting as maybe it might seem?
But I think there's two things. There's one, the constant messages that you have, and we go into every game, looking to get a result, wherever that is, home and away. And I said, we don't change too much. Occasionally we might go to a 4-3-3, but don't change too much. But I think it's probably more, from what the players saw. And where Lewis is right is, and I'm not taking anything away from...
No, it wasn't actually talking away, it was arrogance. It was a reality of it. It just, the confidence grew as each and every game went through. That was what it come across to me. It wasn't an arrogance in any way.
Oh, no, that I believe, what I was going to say is that I think what he found is exactly what we saw, where you've got the top six that's are very entrenched as the top six. But I think what we found this season is that if we looked at, your Burnleys and your Evertons and your Leicesters as that next group of teams that are vying to get into that the top six, they were teams that you felt, almost came into a bigger group of teams that can win and lose games. And I think they think that's exactly what Lewis is saying and what he saw. And that's a good thing. I think if you've got your own players that are seeing that and feeling that they can get results against what you regard as the 7th and the 8th and the 9th and the 10th best teams, then that you hope that confidence that they can take into games.
As a club, Chris, you've been praised for the recruitments that you just mentioned there with Kevin, and your comments after the United game talking about the different departments of the club, recruitment board level, will start now planning for next year. How big a part of the success at Brighton has been the way you guys are structured? And I say this in mind of bearing in mind other clubs that are sacking managers and making changes, and I'm just wondering about the overall direction of the club. How important is it to have that going in the right place and everybody pulling in the one direction?
Well, what generally this club has had is a level of stability. We have a chairman that's very ambitious, that we have a new stadium, I think six seasons now. We have a training facility that's now 4 years old, and a chairman, as I said, that's very, very ambitious. But, what we've had is amongst, and how can have it in football, which is very, very difficult, amongst them sort of levels, we have had a fair amount of stability. And of course, as a manager, it's some 3.5 years that I've been in now, and probably in our modern era, that it seems strange that I would be one of the longer serving ones, but we have a structure at the club. We work very hard with our recruitment department. I think a good part of our success over these last few seasons has been, I think, the way that we've recruited, in each window, and I think we've improved in each window, and it's such an important aspect of our game, and we are very aware that a player can do well at one club and not do well at another, and you have to bring him into an environment where he can improve. But it's such an important part of our game, and I think has been a strength of ours over recent seasons. Are
the days of the big dictator figure, the Wenger or the Ferguson running everything at a club over, Chris?
Yes, it is. And I think it's probably over also because, managers don't want that type of responsibility and power. What they want to be able to do is dictate how their team play, the players that come in, making sure that you can structure your team well, and the pressure that are on results. And, as regards certainly the old days of managers doing contracts and running other aspects of the club, it's an area really that managers these days, don't want to get into. And I think it helps. It's such a difficult job now, and there's so much pressure on it. What you want to be able to do is be able to concentrate on the real things that matters, and that's about getting football results.
Chris, I just wanted to ask you about my last point, I suppose, about Shane Duffy. Shane Duffy now has just become Ireland Player of the Year. He's had a brilliant campaign across the course of the World Cup qualifications for us from an international point of view. How good is he, and how good can he become? Because we've put because he's still relatively inexperienced at international level, but we've put a lot of pressure on him now because he's probably going to be our main defender, our main player now over the next 5 to 10 years. So how good can he be?
Well, certainly, probably for us, at Brighton, if you was to say that he would maintain, his level, he's been with us now for 2 years. If you said he was to maintain his level for what he's shown over these 2 years, we would be delighted with that because he has been excellent for us. I mean, what he has also been able to do is go through these 2 seasons with us almost without injury. So he's played in almost every game. He's built up a great relationship with Lewis Dunk. And I suppose probably that's something that he's, going to have to do at international level because of course, of the changes there. But there is more in him. He's a if anything, immature for a centre half. And when I say that, I don't mean as regards a person, because he's a very a mature lad for us. But if we're looking at a centre half playing at his peak, I always feel that the best age for a centre half is getting towards his late 20s, and sometimes even early 30s. So yes, I still think there's the development and growth in him and maturity in him, but he's been outstanding for us.
Just on a final point, Chris, reluctant to make every interview that you do go towards the area of the prominence or lack thereof of black coaches in the game, but you have been an impassioned and outspoken advocate for that particular issue. When you are achieving this sort of success, and bearing in mind the continuing small number of black coaches in English football, and the adoption of things like the Rooney Rule for the Football League and the FA, is it anywhere in your mind when you're working in the Premier League, and do you feel that you're representing black coaches, or is it at the back of your mind?
No, it's something that I carry with me, and I'm very happy and proud to carry that with me. And in any way, if I can be, inspirational or any type of role model to those young black and ethnic coaches that want a career in the game, that is something that I'm very, very happy to take on. And I'm hoping that we can make strides. I think there is that enthusiasm, I think, for it to happen, to redress that balance. And even as regards, we've seen of late that after this World Cup that there will be a black and ethnic coach going with all of the underage England sides, and I think senior sides as well. So I'm hoping that we can make progress. Certainly there's been good progress in the amount of black and ethnic coaches at grassroots and academy under 23 level, and it's just trying to readdress that balance at senior level and very much in the forefront of it.
Well, Chris, we wish you continued success, and thanks for your time today. By the way, Manager of the Year nominees: Pep Guardiola, Jurgen Klopp, Rafa Benitez, Roy Hodgson, Sean Dyche and yourself. Esteemed company indeed.
Good man, Chris.
A very, very good company there, and I shan't tell you this moment who my vote would be for.
Cheers, Chris. Thanks for your time today.
Thanks, Chris.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Very welcome.